Finally, it is time to get back and talk some Malazan. Hello, welcome to the Ponderings of Pete. I am Pete, and this is my channel, as it is named such. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new here, I appreciate you coming. There's a like button, there's a comment button, there's a subscribe button if you really want to see more of this content. If you want to see more of me talking about random stuff that happens to be books, like fantasy and sci-fi. And if you're returning, hello. Thank you for coming back. I really appreciate you. Just thank you for supporting me. If you have read the Path to Ascendancy trilogy so far, and you have thoughts on it, let me know after the video and in the comment box below. And if you're planning to read Path to Ascendancy, or you want to read it, and maybe this review helped you or gave you more thoughts about this series, let me know about down below in the comments as well. I'd be happy to hear from you. With that being said, let's get down to talking about this book. This will be a spoiler-free review for Path to Ascendancy. The first 3 books, which are the ones that are currently out, because the 4th one is scheduled to come out, I believe, next year. There's no definitive date as of right now. There probably will be minor spoilers for the identity of certain characters in Malazan Book of the Fallen that are not revealed until Dead House Gates, the 2nd book. So if you want to avoid any and all character spoilers about the identity of 2 specific characters that don't have too much screen time, debatably, in the first 2 books, let me know. One of these characters does show up a lot, honestly, in the pages of Gardens of the Moon. So if you don't really want to know who they are and where their story is from, I would click away. Now let's talk about the Path to Ascendancy. The first 3 books, we have Dancer's Lament, we have Dead House Landing, and we have Kelanaved's Reach. I really enjoyed my time with these 3 books, though the start was a little rough for me. The second 2 books definitely shine bigger than the first. Things that I enjoyed about this book include all of the cameos, all of the characters in these books that are from Malazan Book of the Fallen. It's a lot of the characters that are in these books are not as deeply explored as some of the main characters in the 10-book Malazan Book of the Fallen, and it was interesting to see where they came from and how the situation that starts in Gardens of the Moon came to be. And that's only partially because it's a very high level history for specifically Dancer and Kellanaved and the accomplishments that they achieved with the building of the Malazan Empire. So, and this starts really early on. Like at the beginning of the first book, Dancer and Kellanaved do not know each other, and we start from there. So this is very much so Dancer and Kellanaved's story, the story of the building of the Malazan Empire, and how Kellanaved became emperor. Yeah, and also how Kellanaved came to be such a powerful mage to the point that both of them ascended when the events at the beginning of Gardens of the Moon happened. So seeing their, I would tentatively say, friendship form was really interesting. Kellanaved, as usual, is it's very hard to see what his motivations are. He still is very cards played close to his chest, and you really don't know until the last minute or somebody forces out of him what he exactly is planning, which really tracks with his character, even though I was looking forward to seeing more into Kellanaved's mind. For the most part, these books really focus on being in Dancer's mind, and to a certain extent other characters as well, when they're applicable to the story of Dancer and Kellanaved. Dancer specifically is heavily explored in the first book, and then how he actually came by his name, and just in the latter books, it's kind of shown how he evolves over time to be better suited to his role around Kellanaved. These books really had a rocky start for me because I wasn't entirely understanding where Kellanaved and Dancer were coming from. I really didn't understand their motivations, and for that, I think the books kind of took too little time on that. But at the same time, the fast pace of these books, the almost cinematic pace, you sometimes feels like they're brushing over things that could be interesting to really go over in depth, but that's just not what the type of writer that Esselmont is. He isn't nitty-gritty detail in terms of describing it to the reader. There are a lot of details in these books that might escape whatever, but Esselmont really shines at being efficient about giving you only the knowledge you need to know. Whereas with Erikson, I feel like there's a lot more that he told you that either you need to know it in 5 books or this is relevance for a side story somewhere else. Esselmont tells you exactly what you need to know. And that's why these books are so short and they're so fast-paced. He definitely has a mind for what story he's telling, and he goes after it and only that. He doesn't take as many tangents as Erikson seems to. It was refreshing to read these because I didn't have the pressure of a large Malazan book looming on my TBR, even though I have other books that were large and looming. If you are going to read this, I would say don't read this before Malazan Book of the Fallen. And the reason I say that is because, again, one of the big strengths of this book is seeing where characters came from. I think that is a big part of the enjoyment of these books. And because of that, there is some significant dimensions to these books that you will miss if you have not read Malazan Book of the Fallen. It's not even for spoiler reasons, it's just these characters I think are fascinating, especially if you know what happens to them later. If you know what takes place in Malazan Book of the Fallen. Really do recommend these books, especially if you've read Malazan Book of the Fallen. That's kind of all I had to say. I like the characters, I like the plot, I like just where everything is going. Next Malazan book I'm going to read is Forge of Darkness, so that's going to be interesting. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. If you had other thoughts on this series or anything along those lines. So thank you so much. Have a great night. Make sure to get some rest because that's really important. Goodbye.